All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep on this question.
Okay.
Sounds easy, but it can get kind of tricky.
Right.
What kind of cousin
Yeah.
is your father's uncle's granddaughter to you?
Okay.
That's what we're going to figure out today.
All right.
We've got a couple articles and a YouTube video transcript to help us out with this whole family tree mystery.
Awesome.
You
Yeah.
you'd think everyone knows what a cousin is, but
Right.
trust me, the specifics can get
Oh, yeah.
really wild.
Absolutely.
I think what's so fascinating is that we just use this word cousin,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's a whole system for actually classifying those relationships.
Right. And we just throw it around so casually.
Exactly.
But it actually really matters for things like genealogy
Yeah.
and DNA analysis, which we'll get into.
Okay, so before we get into the specifics of your problem,
Okay.
father's uncle's granddaughter,
Great.
we got to lay down some groundwork.
Okay.
One of the articles really emphasized starting with first cousins.
Mm. Yeah.
Classic, your parents have siblings, their kids are your first cousins.
Right.
But they really stressed the shared grandparents part.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because that's the key.
Yeah.
It's the most basic thing, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Those shared ancestors are what link you to all of your cousins no matter how distant.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
first cousins share grandparents, and that's the baseline that we branch everything else out from.
Okay, so then we go to second cousins.
Yes.
And that's a step further out.
Uh-huh.
Now we're sharing great-grandparents.
Exactly.
One of the sources gave this example. Your grandpa's brother's grandchild is also your second cousin.
Right.
But it's wait,
Right.
we're in the same generation?
Yeah.
But I got to go back 2 whole generations to find that common great-grandparent.
Right. And that's where things start to get confusing.
Yeah.
Because now we're not just talking about the levels of cousins, first, second, third,
Right.
but we're also adding in this removed concept.
Oof, yes, removed.
Yes.
Always trips me up.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a measure of how close you are to someone,
Yeah.
but the YouTube video made it very clear
Right.
that it's actually all about generational differences.
Yes, it's not about how much you like your cousin or dislike them.
Right.
It's just, are they in your generation? Are
Yeah.
they a generation above?
Yeah.
Are they a generation below?
Okay.
That's all it is.
And that can be crucial, especially when we get into the DNA side of things.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this removed
Yes.
thing, because this is going to be the key to cracking your case.
Yes.
Your specific cousin case.
Yes.
The source gave this example. Your first cousin's child would be your first cousin once removed,
Uh-huh.
because they're a generation below you.
Yes.
But this is where my brain melts a little bit.
Okay.
Your parents' first cousin
Mm-hmm.
is also your first cousin once removed,
Right.
but they're a generation above you.
Right. So visualizing this as a family tree that's branching downwards can be helpful.
Okay.
So you and your first cousin are on the same level.
Okay.
Their child is one step down.
Okay.
So once removed.
Okay.
But your parent is one step up from you,
Mm-hmm.
and their first cousin is on their level.
Okay.
So still one generation removed from you.
Okay, hold on. Let me try this.
Okay.
So removed is like steps on a ladder.
Okay.
Doesn't matter which direction I go.
Uh-huh.
It's the number of steps.
Yes.
Okay, so first cousin's kid, one step down.
Yep.
Parents' first cousin, one step up.
Yep.
Both once removed from me.
Yes, you got it.
Did I get it?
You got it.
Okay.
Yes. So that same logic applies to twice removed, which is a 2-generation difference.
Okay.
So your first cousin's grandchild would be your first cousin twice removed,
Okay.
2 steps down.
Okay.
And it keeps going.
Okay.
Thrice removed.
Oh, God.
4 times removed.
Hopefully I don't have to deal with those.
Hopefully not.
But wait.
Yeah.
If removed is all about generations, why not just say,
Right.
my cousin who's a generation younger?
Yeah.
Or older.
You would think.
Wouldn't that be easier?
You would think so.
Yeah.
But, this removed terminology has been around for centuries,
Really?
and it actually reflects some social and historical context.
Interesting.
So, for example, some people think it stems from inheritance laws,
Oh.
where closer generations, less removed,
Right.
had stronger claims to inheritance.
Wow.
So it's a little glimpse into how family structures were viewed in the past.
Okay. I was not expecting a history lesson.
Yeah.
But that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got first cousins, second cousins, this whole removed concept.
Right.
But how does this help me
Yes.
figure out where my father's uncle's granddaughter fits in?
We're getting there.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Don't worry. We're going to get there.
Each piece is crucial for solving the puzzle.
Okay.
Remember.
Yeah. We got to identify that common ancestor
Right.
and the steps between you and that cousin.
Okay.
The generational steps.
All right. I'm ready to be a detective.
Okay.
Where do we start with this family tree investigation?
So, okay, so let's break it down.
Okay.
Let's break down your father's side of the family.
Okay.
Step by step.
Okay.
We know your father's uncle
Yep.
is one generation above your dad.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
think about your family tree. Like,
Okay.
where would he be in relation to, like, your grandparents?
One generation above my dad.
Yeah.
That means he'd be on the same level as my grandparent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which makes him your great uncle.
Oh, okay.
Now, his granddaughter is 2 generations below him.
Okay, so 2 generations below my great uncle
Yeah.
puts her in the same generation as me.
Yes.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all fits together now.
Now we just need to find the common ancestor.
Okay.
So
Right.
your great uncle's in the same generation as your grandparent. That means you and his granddaughter
Okay.
share great grandparents.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Great grandparents.
Yep.
Same generation.
Yeah.
Does that mean?
She's your second cousin.
What
Mystery.
mystery solved?
I was way overthinking this.
I know, right?
I thought it was going to be so much more complicated.
Yeah.
But
But once you break it down,
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the system.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like a jumble at first,
Totally.
but with a little logic.
Yeah.
You know, we get those family connections.
Okay.
Speaking of like greats and things,
Yeah.
one of the articles had this funny little thing about like
yeah.
grand versus great
Oh, yeah.
and how we use them with family.
Right.
And like there's this whole logic to it, but there are some weird exceptions.
Right.
So like generally grand means there's a 2-generation gap.
Okay.
You know, like your brother's grandchild is your grandniece.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom's father is your grandfather.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2 generations.
But then it's like nobody says grand aunt,
Right.
even though technically it should be 2 generations.
Yeah.
But we go straight to great aunt,
Mm-hmm.
even though that's usually like 3 generations.
Right.
It's
Well,
just like we try to avoid awkward phrasing, I guess.
yeah, we just go with what sounds better.
Yeah.
Like great aunt just rolls off the tongue better than
Yeah.
great
Exactly.
aunt.
So it bends the rules a little.
Right.
But it makes more sense.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember that cousin plus 1 hack
Yes.
from the YouTube video?
Yes, that's a great moment.
That really helped me like visualize the whole cousin level thing.
Yes, it's so simple and memorable.
Yeah, you take the cousin number,
Yeah.
first, second, third, whatever.
Yeah.
You add 1,
Uh-huh.
and that number tells you how many generations back
Yes.
you have to go.
To find that ancestor.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
first cousin plus 1 equals 2 generations back to the grandparent.
To the grandparents.
Second cousin plus 1 equals 3 generations back
Yep.
to the great-grandparents. It's like a cheat code
Yeah.
for family trees.
Right. And it's especially helpful when you're dealing with those more distant cousins.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out
Yeah.
if someone is your 4th cousin or your 5th cousin twice removed.
Right.
Like, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Okay. So we got our cousin terminology
You got it.
down pat.
Yeah.
But why does any of this actually matter?
Right.
It's just not about like knowing who to call cousin
Yeah.
at a family reunion, right?
Exactly.
Like, do we really need to know the
Yeah.
exact level of
Right.
cousinship?
Well, this is where we get into like the really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one of the sources talked about how important this is for genealogy.
Right.
Like if you're building a family tree, you got to be able to place people on the right branches.
Yeah. A misplaced second cousin.
Exactly.
Like could just throw the whole thing off.
Exactly.
But the YouTube video also mentioned DNA analysis.
Yes.
Like, how do cousins and DNA connect?
Right.
That's the part I'm really interested in.
So did you know that like basically each cousin level
Yeah.
halves the amount of DNA you share? So like you share about 50% of your DNA with like a parent or a child.
Okay.
25% with a grandparent or
Okay.
aunt or an uncle.
Yeah.
But then
Okay, so it keeps going down from there.
it keeps going down.
But what about with cousins?
Okay, so first cousin, you share about 12.5% of your DNA.
Okay.
But with a first cousin once removed, it
Yeah.
drops to about 6%.
Oh, wow.
And with each remove,
Yeah.
it gets smaller and smaller.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that means like my 4th cousin,
Yeah.
who I've never even
Mhm.
met,
Right.
shares like a teeny tiny percentage of my DNA.
A teeny tiny percentage.
Whoa.
It's wild.
It's so crazy.
But it's still there. Yeah.
So that's why understanding these relationships
Mm-hmm.
is so important for DNA tests.
Okay.
Because those tests,
Yeah.
they can reveal like unexpected
Yeah.
distant cousins.
Yeah.
But if you don't know
Right.
how the relationships work,
Yeah.
you could misinterpret what you're seeing.
So, like,
Yeah.
I might think someone's a fourth cousin
Right.
based on the percentage,
Yeah.
but they're actually, like,
Yeah.
a fifth cousin twice removed or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like having a puzzle piece
Yeah.
that doesn't fit
Right.
unless you know exactly where it belongs
Right.
in the big picture.
Okay. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Cousin terminology is not just for, like,
It's not just for the family tree hobbyists.
yeah, it's
That's
not,
fun.
it's like the secret code
Yeah.
to understanding our connections
Yeah.
and our relationships.
Exactly.
Okay. But
Yeah.
before we get too serious,
Okay.
one of the sources had,
Pretty wild anecdote
yes,
about cousins and age gaps.
yes.
And it made me realize
Uh-huh.
how much like generational spans can vary.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you talking about the one with the 40-year age difference between first cousins?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the video host mentioned how her grandmother was the oldest of 5,
Okay.
and there was like a 16-year difference
Wow.
between her and her youngest brother.
Yeah.
So the oldest of her dad's cousins
Mhm.
is in her 70s,
Wow.
and the youngest is in her 30s,
Wow.
and they're all first cousins.
That's crazy.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah, it really challenges the traditional idea of cousins
Right. Yeah.
being close in age.
Right, and I bet family gatherings are pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you imagine, like,
Yeah.
a family reunion
Right.
with that group?
Exactly.
It's like a whole other layer
Yeah.
of complexity
Yeah.
to these already complex family relationships.
All right, well, I think we've officially cracked the code
I think so.
of the cousin conundrum
We did it.
and solved your
We
case.
solved the case.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, is there anything else from the sources that you found like
Yeah.
particularly insightful or
Yeah.
thought-provoking?
Yeah, one thing that really stuck with me was like how our idea of family
Yeah.
is always changing. Like
Yeah.
families are becoming,
Yeah.
more diverse and
Yeah.
blended, and DNA testing is more common.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
these old definitions might need to be re-examined.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's like we're adding to the family tree in ways we didn't even think of before.
Yeah.
And speaking of adding,
Mm-hmm.
one of the sources actually said
Okay.
that we should have a more relaxed view of all this cousin terminology.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay to just say cousin
Yeah.
and not get too hung up on some
Totally. Like at the end of the day,
right
it's those connections. Yeah.
that matter most.
Yeah.
Like it's about the relationship,
Right.
not the label.
Right. But it's still pretty cool
Oh yeah.
when you can be like
Yeah.
at a family reunion
Yeah.
and be like, this is exactly how I
Yeah.
related to you.
I know.
It's like dropping a
Yes.
genealogy mic drop.
I can see the headlines now.
Okay.
Local podcast listener explains cousin relationships with ease.
That's totally me.
Yeah.
All right. But jokes aside, I think what I'm taking away from this is that it's not about like trivia or impressing your relatives.
Yeah.
It's about understanding those connections that like weave together
Yeah.
our families.
And it's about understanding where we fit in to that big picture.
Yeah.
You know, like first cousin, fifth cousin, twice removed, whatever it is, we're all part of this big
Yeah.
web of human connection that goes back,
Yeah.
through generations.
And exploring those connections
Yes.
can enrich our lives in so many ways.
So for all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
I have a final question for you.
Okay.
Has you ever been surprised
Mm-hmm.
by a DNA test
Yeah.
that revealed some like unexpected
Right.
distant cousin?
Yeah. What does that tell us
Yeah.
about how interconnected we are? Like,
Yeah,
those are stories just waiting to be uncovered.
totally.
Maybe it'll inspire you to dig
Right.
a little deeper
Yeah.
into your own family tree.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
on that note,
Mm-hmm.
I think we've reached the end
Yeah.
of our cousin-themed deep dive.
I think so.
Hope you've enjoyed this journey
Mm-hmm.
into the wild world of
Yes.
family relationships.
It's been fun.
All right. Happy sleuthing, everyone.
Bye.